Hi, so I received some sample material from a fellow YouTuber and rockhound by the name of Tess. His channel link is in the description below, so be sure to check that out. You definitely won't be disappointed. There's lots of good information on there. So I want to cab up some of this material. It's pretty unique. It's dendritic silver and nickeline, and there's some calcite in it. And I've never seen any of this in real life myself, just on his channel, and he was kind enough to send me a sample of it. So I'm going to take you through that process. I'm going to show you what's involved, and hopefully we'll get a really good polish at the end of it, and it'll be amazing stuff. So yeah, stay with us. So I've already polished this up just a little bit so that I can get a better idea of what I want to cab and what areas here. So it's pretty incredible stuff. So the white would be calcite that's in there, and I believe this one's nickeline or pyrite. This is the silver. Again, the white would be calcite. But you can see that dendritic pattern that's in there. So the first step that we need to do is figure out the shape that we want to cab these up as. I've studied this material quite a bit, and I want to use as much of it as possible. I don't want to waste anything because this is silver, and it's got beautiful patterning through it. So I think with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a teardrop shape out of this, and I'm just going to freehand it. That's that one. So I was thinking for this one, we'll just try a traditional oval shape. It's going to be about the best use of this material. So with this last piece, again, I want to use as much of this material as possible, and once we have some of these done, I'm going to try and experiment with one of them at the end to see something to do with this calcite, so be sure to stay tuned for that one. So let's try and get this one. So I'm also going to try a teardrop with this one, and I'm just going to freehand that here. Okay, now that I've got the rough cabs drawn out, I'm just going to throw them on the trim saw and take off the extra little bits, that way it'll save time in grinding it down. So yeah, here we go. So here we are, we got all the material trimmed down and I got my 100 grit wheel on, and initially I had said that this might be nickeline. I'm pretty sure it's actually pyrite. It was pretty brittle when I was cutting it on the saw, as you saw, and it was chipping off, and I have a feeling nickeline would be more metal-like, it'd be more structured, this is very, very brittle, so we're going to see how it's going to cab up. It should be fine, as long as I'm not too rough with it. And yeah, so let's go through all of these. I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to go right through on all of them for the 100 grit, and then I'll change up wheels, and we'll go from there. So there we have the first stage done, 100 grit. So here's the end result for that, real quick. Just a rough shape. This one's actually really neat. I like that calcite going through the middle. So yeah, so that was the first stage, 100 grit. So I'm not going to take you through the entire process. I'll give you highlights as I go through it, but it could take anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours. So I'm sure you don't want to sit here that long and watch this. It's kind of boring probably, but. So here's the result after the 600 grit wheel. Came out pretty nice. So there we go, all the shaping's been completed. So I went through 100 grit, 600 grit hard, 600 grit soft, 1000 grit soft, 2000 grit soft, and that's all been done and just left for polish now. There's still a bit of a haze on them, but that's going to come out in the polish. So for the polishing, I'm going to do a two-step polishing process. For most stones, you just use one step, and that's cerium oxide, which is what this is. I'm going to do both, actually, because there's calcite and there's pyrite in some of these, and I'm curious to see how it's going to act with the silver. So let's just get started on that. This is just water and cerium oxide. So the wheel I'm going to be using, it's just a custom-made leather wheel. It's a piece of wood, and I've got a bit of foam on backing, and then leather's covering it. It's pretty well worn. I could probably use a new one, but for now this is going to work great. So yeah, let's get started. Now on to the second and final stage of the polishing, and what we're going to be using is red rouge. Now this is designed for metals, and it is on the fine side, which is what we want. To polish it, I'm going to be using a Dremel tool with a felt pad on the end here, and that's pretty much it. So let's get started. Well, the cabs are finished and we're back outside. I wanted you to see them in the natural light so you can see how well they turned out. So let's have a look. So I'm pretty amazed at how well those turned out. Now, the one thing I did learn from this material is that the flatter the surface, the more you see the dendritic pattern is more predominant versus, let's say, a domed cab as you saw. But yeah, so thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and take care.